Hey guys, hope you had your first cup of coffee this morning. I know that I definitely have had one and I'm enjoying my coffee. Hopefully you're enjoying some with me today. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you about something that I think is pretty uncomfortable. It's the topic of losing. Losing is not fun. Nobody likes to lose. Listen, some people in their life are okay. You have a tolerance for losing, but some of you just don't feel that at all. You would rather really sacrifice anything just to be on the top of the pedestal. The crazy thing is when you are in first place and you're on the top of that pedestal, everybody behind you, second place, third place, they're just first and second place loser, right? So like everyone behind you is a loser. You literally could stand on the podium and hold a big L up and tell everybody else behind you, you're a loser. And you get to win. And all the praise goes to you. But sometimes, especially in the kingdom of God or in our faith, we have an opportunity to put somebody else up there on the pedestal as opposed to myself. That might not be fun because that requires me to be in a loser position, first or second loser, or maybe further along back than that. And depending on how much you like losing, that cannot be fun. When I was a little bit younger and my son he was probably 4 years old, I introduced him to something that, maybe it was a bad decision because video games, it's always a hit or miss. But I introduced him to video games, right? And I introduced him to this game called Mario. I had loved Mario my whole life. And so when he was like 4 or 5 years old, he would sit in my lap and he would play Mario with me. It was on the original Wii. And eventually we bought the Wii U and then Nintendo Switch. And my son has loved Mario games from the start. But I'll never forget, most of his childhood, I was so much better than him at Mario. I mean, every single move in the game came naturally to me, but to him, it didn't because he was learning how to play. And so because I wanted him to love it, I didn't want to just dominate him all the time and show him how great I was. Instead, I allowed him to win. I let him win. And by doing so, he began to have confidence about that game. He started to think that he was a winner over his dad. Now, it's crazy because now I can't beat him at video games at all. He's so much better than I am. But I will just tell you this, that it was a big swallow of pride when he would look at me and say, "Dad, you're terrible at this game." And the truth is I wasn't. I was good, but I let him win. Now, maybe you've had situations like that in your life where you decided you're going to let somebody else win. And some people hate being let to win. But here's the point of what I'm saying. Sometimes we have opportunities in our life to lower ourselves and to put someone else on the pedestal, to allow them to become into the spotlight, to allow them to be the one who gets the praise. And in order to do that, we have to choose to lose. Now, this isn't my idea, and I know it sounds uncomfortable, so let me just tell you who came up with this idea originally. His name is Jesus. And here he was having a conversation in the book of Mark, chapter 9. The whole situation came shortly after Jesus went through that whole moment of transfiguration. If you haven't read it, go back to the beginning of chapter 9 of Mark, and you can just read this whole glorious situation that happens there. But Jesus came down off the mountain, he healed a demon-possessed kid, and then his disciples were having a conversation about who's the greatest. And so Jesus, he sits them down. Literally, it says here in verse 35 of chapter 9 of Mark, he says, sitting them down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." Jesus says, hey, I get it. You want to win. You want to be victorious right now in this moment. You want me to be in first place over Rome so that Rome doesn't have any power over us, right? We want to win. And Jesus says, if you want to be great, you want to be the first one, let me tell you how that works in my economy. Let me tell you how that works in the economy of Jesus. If you want to be first, then you have to decide to be the very last and be the servant of all. Jesus was clearly, if you follow through his life, choosing to lose for the sake of others in so many different moments. Now, that's a real humility check. It is. And if we didn't want to decide to follow Jesus in those steps, then there will be hundreds of moments today where you have an opportunity to elevate someone else above yourself, to put them on the podium, to let them get the praise. It's a real ego check in order to do that. But what Jesus says is if you want to be great, if you want to elevate yourself in the kingdom of God, it's not about self-promotion, it's about self-denial. So today, maybe as you go throughout your day and you finished up your cup of coffee and now you're ready to go, and you're going to have all kinds of opportunities to choose to lose, to choose to put somebody else ahead of you. Will you do it? Because as those opportunities come, you're gonna have to swallow your pride. But if you want to follow in the ways of Jesus, he said, if you want to be great, choose to lose. If you want to be first, you got to become the very last in the kingdom of God. And that's what we're called to do. Who else can you help promote today? It might look like this. Your kids come home from school and you're really tired from work, but they've got homework and they need help. And so you choose to sacrifice your time to help them. You choose to lose what you could have so that they can benefit. Maybe when the dishes are all over the counter and dinner is done and nobody wants to clean up, you choose to lose your freedom so that the family that you have and that you love can enjoy their time away. What does it look like for you today to choose to lose? I encourage you, I challenge you to do it and see what happens when you decide to put Jesus' words to work in your life. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.